We're on a road trip through Nova Scotia, and the next leg of our trip is the Lighthouse Route. So we're going from Halifax to Lunenburg. After collecting a rental car and with Halifax in the rearview mirror, we made our way west through twisting roads that dart in and out of the quintessential maritime coves and rolling hills. On our way to Peggy's Cove, we stopped at Polly's Cove. There's a quick little turnoff followed by a short hike. The path itself winds through this beautiful flora that's draping over the 450 million year old granite rocks here. This is Polly's Cove. This hidden gem rewarded us with breathtaking views of this remote cove of majestic granite cliffs, boulders, and islands. Even though we couldn't see a whole lot, the dense fog only added to the aesthetic, reminiscent of a Lord of the Rings movie or Elder Scrolls video game. Our next stop needs no introduction. As if stepping through a portal in time and into a literal work of art, Peggy's Cove delivers a natural beauty and aesthetic that can only be experienced in person. Nestled into the shoreline, this quaint little fishing village delivers progressively better and better views of the meticulously maintained heritage homes, lobster shacks, wharfs, and of course, the pièce de résistance, the original 1915 lighthouse, which stands proud atop a massive outcropping of pristine white Devonian granite. While exploring on this day, we were lucky enough to be serenaded by bagpipes. Does it really get any more Nova Scotia than this? After working up our appetite during the last two stops, we took in some great views from the seaside Shanty Restaurant in Chester Basin. Here we had some well-earned seafood and a local pint. It's also where I had my first lobster roll. Following a short drive from lunch, we arrived at the charming little boomtown of Mahone Bay. Alongside the picturesque streets lined with brightly painted Victorian homes and shops, Mahone Bay is home to the legendary Three Churches, nestled in this adorable little cove. Also home to our next stop, Saltbox Brewery, with something special waiting for us. When in the Maritimes, you obviously have to try everything lobster, and that includes beer. This is a lobster beer. It's called the Crustacean Elation, and they actually use lobster shells to infuse the beer in the brewing process. So, cheers. It's kind of buttery. I like it though. It's good. After a couple more curves around the bay and past beautiful heritage homes, we've finally arrived in Lunenburg. Here's a little inside tip for one of the best views of the Lunenburg waterfront. Go down Tannery Road towards the golf course and you get this beautiful vantage point. Strolling down the streets of this old seafaring town, it's easy to see why Lunenburg is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The whole town is also a National Historic Site of Canada. It's like walking through a museum of Dutch colonial and neoclassical architecture. Some homes and buildings are as old as the mid-1700s. Lunenburg is rich in maritime history, with every building telling its own story about the past, especially St. John's Anglican Church, standing beautifully on the hill with black trim contrasting perfectly against its pristine white siding. If you have a chance to do one of the Lunenburg walking tours, you will absolutely love it. Making our way to the waterfront through the majestic old downtown, we timed our arrival perfectly with one of the most stunning sailing ships in the world, which happened to be returning to her home port right as we were getting there. With sleek lines and towering rigging, the grandeur of the Bluenose II cannot be understated. An exact replica of the 1921 undefeated racing schooner and a Canadian icon everyone has seen in their change, the Bluenose II makes her berth in Lunenburg to the awe of enthusiasts, tourists, and sailors alike. I promise you, you don't need to be into boats to be blown away by how beautiful this ship is. After a sunset beverage at the South Shore Fish Shack and a little appetizer at Bar Salvador, we decided, when in Lunenburg, we want to eat on the wharf. So we made our way to the Old Fish Factory, which is attached to the Fisheries Museum. This perfectly quaint and unpretentious restaurant has a classic maritime vibe, and it boasted one of the best seafood dinners we had during our whole trip. We were treated to fresh halibut and scallops. With the last moments of the golden sunset fading, we found a nightcap at Lightship Brewing for a pint and a flight. Boasting a great selection of beer and a massive patio, we also had one of the best views of the Lunenburg waterfront, beautifully lit up as the night greeted us. We stayed the night at one of the most affordable accommodations in Lunenburg, the Atlantic View Motel and Cottages. There's a motel side and a few cottages with mini kitchens, and we loved it here. It was quiet, sparkling clean, and also had a bit of an ocean view with access to a private beach. On a Friday night in peak summer season, it was only $170 Canadian. The next morning, we made our way to the small beach out front of our hotel, where the Blue Nose once again effortlessly caught our gaze as she cast sail into the wind on a perfect misty morning. The Savvy Sailor was today's breakfast destination. We relaxed with coffee while enjoying views of the gorgeous waterfront once again. After perusing the menu, we elected for classic fish cakes and beans and an open-faced breakfast sandwich before making our way to the Ironworks Distillery, where we had some early morning whiskey tastings. Staying faithful to the original 1893 blacksmith shop, Ironworks Distillery is an aesthetic of its own, with a wide selection of locally made whiskey and other spirits. With one last stroll down the waterfront, we bid farewell to this amazing town. I hope to see you in the next video when we explore Annapolis Valley.